So next up, we have the incredible Christa Realba. So Christa is an incredible human being. She's a mother of two, and she's a wife to a guy who I really, really look up to, Mike. If you've ever seen Krista or ever seen her speak on stage or ever met her in person, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say she's an incredible powerhouse of skills, talents, ambition, and determination, all wrapped up into one very small package. So Krista began her entrepreneurial journey online in the fashion industry, working with celebrities such as Hayden Panettiere. She had guest spots and media coverage on Entertainment Tonight, E, Cosmo TV, and InStyle magazine. She quickly became sought after to teach entrepreneurs about blogging and how to effectively use and utilize social media. At the time, she was surrounded by stressed out business owners on the path to burnout, burning the candles at both ends, herself included. She knew that something was missing, and in 2008, Krista found the missing piece and expanded her business to encompass wellness and personal development. And through her partnership with Usana, she has created a multiple six-figure residual income stream and rarely utilizes this as she travels the world so frequently with her beautiful family. So today, Krista is going to be sharing with us all about how to take proactive business decisions and how to invite authentically in 2018 and beyond. So Krista, again, thank you so much for coming on. We love you and let's go.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. I'm sorry that you're just seeing a picture of my face, but I literally just crawled out of bed from my little guys, with my little guys, slowly sneaking away. But I'm so happy to be here. And Nick and Viola, I should take a picture because I'm not sure if I told you this, but we have a picture of the four of us from Vegas that's downstairs in our living room on the wall. So we think of you guys quite often. And we look forward to our next double date. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys, how to be proactive in your business rather than just reactive, and rather than kind of putting your business on the shelf for building later. I know that you guys are all being proactive because you're here, which is incredible. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story and just kind of the journey and why I think this is so incredible to prioritize your business, but also to be proactive with it. So building your USANA business is really about the long-term game, right? Like, it's really about that legacy piece. It's about the impact that you're making, but it's also about, creating something that will take care of you for your whole life, and also future generations to come. So for me, when I started my business, I was 25 years old. So that's actually celebrating 10 years this month that I've been building this incredible business and loving it so much. But when I started, I was living in Toronto with my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. And we're just in this place of kind of new beginnings and kind of seeking where our life was going to be. But we weren't engaged, we weren't planning on children or anything like that. But the cool thing that I realized when I was building this business in Toronto was that it was that freedom piece that we often speak about, but then when you're actually testing it out, when life happens. So I remember the very first big aha moment I had with the freedom piece, and why I was so grateful that I was building this business in such a urgent way, was when I lost my uncle to cancer, and I was living in Toronto, and getting that phone call that he passed, and being able to just drop everything and just go, right? And I had this feeling. I was just like, imagine if I had to call an employer and negotiate for time off and things like that. And that was kind of like my biggest moment, where I realized how powerful this business was for preparing you for life events, which happen, right? Now, with my USANA business, I did create it with such urgency, and every single Friday, which it's a Friday here today, I was always really giving it my all right until the very last second, because in the beginning I had to, meaning I had to pay my rent. I had to make sure my auto order was covered. I had to make sure that I was making as much money as possible every week. So that really served me well, that urgency piece. And literally, like, there was no other stream of income, like it had to work, right? Um, and it allowed me to create this income fairly fast in my business with because of the urgency that I had. So I became a gold director in about a year and a half. And Mike and I, so still not married, we were living together, and I knew I wanted to marry him, but that didn't happen yet. And we thought we were just taking a break from the city. So we were living in Toronto, and we said, well, let's just go back to my hometown and just have a break from the city. Let's sell everything and just, like, see where things take us. Well, as soon as we landed back in my hometown, I swear, I don't know what it was about being back home, but I became pregnant. And we didn't plan it or anything like that, but that just kind of happened. So that was a big surprise that we weren't expecting in our life. But again, because of the USANA income and because of the model that we have, we were able to kind of take that surprise and be like, okay, amazing, amazing surprise. And we were able to buy our first home and kind of roll with it, right? So that was, again, being able to see and experience the business be there for you when life happens, like life events, right? So I think the message here for you is that you want to grow now before you need it, right? And maybe you need it right now. And if so, that's even better, because you should actually take that need and just create this beautiful urgency in your business. But maybe you're in a place where you're quite comfortable right now. So building your business becomes kind of like, okay, well, I'll do it after I graduate from this course, or I'll do it once I move, or I'll do it, like, it's always just kind of something that happens later. And I was recently just talking to a young couple in London, UK, and I was sitting down with them, and they were both, doing well in their life. They were in their 20s and they were dating, and they're like, we're just getting set up. It's a new city for us. I think we're going to, build our business like maybe in a year, but when we do it, we want to do it right. We want to be all in. Like, we don't want to just like tiptoe and, do things, just partially. And I hear that quite often, but I had to kind of like tell them that I didn't really buy it, because the thing is your life is never going to be perfect and have the perfect scenario in which you just have this perfect platform and this perfect timing, and everything's just set up for you with your extra time and your extra money and just like to grow your business. It doesn't really happen ever, I don't think. Like, I'm sure there's some scenarios, but that's very rare. And if you're waiting for that, it's probably something else is going to come up and take that priority. So you really need to prioritize your use on a business, because no one else is, right? So definitely grow before you're ready. And this is also such an important message on being proactive. Because I didn't have the luxury of being an expert in any aspect of the compensation plan or the products, I definitely had to learn as I actually built my business, which I think is the advice most people would give you. But I think people really get caught up if they, again, have that luxury of time to say, well, first I need to study the products first. I can't recommend anything until I feel really confident. But it's not true, because I think right from the get-go, you do know that you have a quality product, the absolute best in the world, and you're with a company of integrity that has a lot to offer the person that you're sharing it with. And every other possible detail and piece of information, you can find and you can learn as you're connecting that prospect to that information, using Ask the Scientist, using Communications Edge, Googling, asking your upline. There's so, we live in this amazing information world. It's literally at our fingertips. So definitely grow before you're ready and learn as you grow. Now, in terms of the actual what to do, you might not be in a situation where you are, in a run, for example, and really going hard for a leadership advancement per se. But regardless, it's about that consistency. And really the most simple, most powerful advice I can give you in terms of consistency is the age-old advice that many of you know already on this call, but I'll remind you. It is 2-a-day follow-up will pay. So it doesn't matter how busy you are in your life, in your business, whatever your goals are right now, every single one of us can be reaching out to 2 new people a day for any aspect of USANA and following up with everyone who we have in our pipeline. That doesn't take more than an hour or so to do. And if every single one of us did this on the call and everyone who's listening to the recording, everyone will have exponential growth between now and convention and beyond. It's very, very simple advice. 2-a-day follow-up will pay. So let me know if you're going to do that. And then we're going to get into the actual how to invite in a second. I just actually recorded a podcast with Viola, and you can catch the recording of that. Viola will definitely hook you up with that information. But really quickly, in terms of the proactive piece, again, you're probably not going to have the desire or want to be proactive if you don't know why you are actually building this business in the first place. So definitely tune into that podcast, because I teach you the power of 3. And this, you may have heard it before, but it was definitely from my perspective and why this has been really helpful for me. But it's really great if you can have 3 overarching goals for your vision of what you want to create in your life, the impact that you want to have in other people, right? And then actually having your 3 goals of what you want to create in 10 years, and then what you want to do in 1 year, and every month have 3 goals, and every week have 3 big goals, and every day have 3 big goals, so that you're really connected to the big picture of the legacy that you're really creating and why you're doing this in the first place, all the way down to the actual what's happening on the daily basis. So tune into that. I'm also going to write a blog post on that. And if you're following me on Facebook, you'll see it there on my Christa Realba business page. Okay, cool. So let's get into how to invite today in the 21st century. So as you guys know or may know, thank you, Nick, for that beautiful introduction. It was so nice. I really leverage social media a lot, and I always have, because why not? It's so powerful. But also, I think what the biggest piece that a lot of people are missing in terms of building on social media is they're forgetting the actual social aspect. So I think people are trying to be someone different or approach differently than they are in real life. So I want to talk to you about how it can really be the same, and keeping like the normal social behavior on social media and in your approach. So I'm going to go over a few things here that are the same whether you're inviting through social media or whether you're inviting in person. And this advice is so relevant today as it was before, but I think right now we're in a unique time where, we're in this place where there is a lot of options in the industry, in the marketplace, for opportunity online, for direct sales opportunities for sure, and there's a lot of noise, right? So if we go out there leading specifically with our world-class company, even though it's the absolute best, even though there's all these reasons, it's just incredible, and we know that, and the reasons just continue to grow every day, it has to be about that individual. And it has to be a really personal experience. But until we have opened the channel for them to connect with us because they're going to feel heard and valued and seen, everything that we have with USANA doesn't even matter. So I think it's really great that when you're approaching someone, to do your homework a little bit, to personally identify the need, but not lead with what you have decided what the need is, which I think sometimes it's easy to do. It's like, hey, I seen you lost your job, let's talk. It's more so about like knowing where they're at in their life, but then still like being conscious of that. But when you're actually having the interaction, you have an idea, but you want them to unveil it to you. Let me just take a quick sip of my tea here. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. So identifying the need personally, like doing your homework. What I also like to do when I'm prospecting is to really be all in terms of like, imagine that you were like a headhunter and you were working, to find the absolute best people for the corporation, for the, world-class corporation that you were trying to find the best employees for. Well, you wouldn't just kind of make it an approach and then just kind of be on with it. And if they were like, not really interested, you also probably wouldn't just like write it off. You would be 100% invested if you've seen potential in someone. So I think we need to kind of really invest more energetically into the process. So what I would recommend doing is actually having like a vision board for your dream team. This, I think, is very, very helpful. And I have done this before multiple times, and I'm about to do it again. That's why I'm talking to you guys about this, especially when I'm gearing up for a big growth or a run. I literally create a vision board with the dream team that I want to bring on. So, using the law of attraction, but really in a really simple sense, is if I know who I want to have on my team and I'm energetically invested in bringing them on board, I'm going to be more aligned to seeing the need. And I'm just literally opening up the channels of conversation and communication. And just like, literally, it's just, they're on my mind, top 20, let's do this, right? That's really, really helpful. So when I'm approaching on social media or in real life conversation, I literally want to lean in. Lean in, I'm talking about like your whole body and your whole energy is lean into them, into that conversation. Let them be the most interesting person in that conversation and ask questions, ask them to elaborate. It's so valuable just to simply listen to someone without your agenda. And I just literally like physically lean in and I'm super curious and I ask questions and I want to know how their work is going and I want to know how their family is. And simply by being super interested in that person, and you probably already have an idea of what the need is, they will share it with you if they feel heard. Right? And I think that's actually really rare these days because most conversations, people are listening with their ego, and it's just kind of like, how do I respond to get this back to me? And something wrong with that. That's just the way kind of we're wired. So it's really easy to have an impactful conversation with people, and it's going to really be refreshing to them if you're literally listening, simply listening to them and asking those questions. So you want to identify the need. You want them to speak of the need. Then now it's, we just learned more about confidence. That was really great. Thank you so much. Your personal confidence right now is going to be everything, because you have to remember that when we are inviting them, we are lending them our confidence in what we have to offer. So if we are being even, a little bit, not sure of ourselves and kind of like wishy-washy with what we're presenting, they're not going to be interested, because we are asking them to take a leap, do something out of their comfort zone, do something that wasn't necessarily in the plan. So we want to, after we have listened to them and we've leaned in with that beautiful confidence and that clarity, we want to give them an invitation that sounds like, I really thank you so much for sharing where you're at right now. Have you ever considered creating an additional stream of income? Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really interesting how, fill in the blank. I would love to share more about what I do. It might be a solution for you. Would you be open to it? Right? And you really are inviting in a really direct way, but they've already feel heard and valued, so it's not going to come across as pushy. So I'm going to give you some actual examples of recent invitations that I've done in person and also online. But also with Instagram and Facebook, if you're inviting on social media, I just want to really encourage you to kind of get to the invite fairly early on in the conversation. Sometimes you can kind of like, hey, what's going on? You're back and forth. But then it's like, it's kind of can get weird if you wait too long. So it's like, you have to be a little bit more direct with your approach, I find, when you're prospecting on Instagram, especially if it's with a stranger. I'm gonna talk to you about that. But literally, I want to share with you how a like can turn into an invite very, very quickly. Okay, but before I do that, so let's put a pin in that for a sec. We'll go back to Instagram in 1 second. But I just want to share with you 2 recent examples of in-person invites that happened. And these both happened when I was traveling. So I was in a different country, a different language, and it's totally possible. So when Mike and I were checking into our hotel in Paris recently, there was a gentleman who was helping us. He was at the front desk. And, we were just so excited to be there. And, he asked questions. Like, he was actually the one leaning in and asking us questions and wanted to know what we were doing, because it's just customer service, right? In the hospitality industry. So he was really interested in what we were doing. And then because we were actually engaging with him and responding and into the conversation, he began to share a little bit more about himself. And he shared that he was, really wanting to move to Canada, and he's working on his visa, but still hasn't happened, et cetera, et cetera. But so we were like engaged in the conversation, totally leaned in, learning more about him. And I think he enjoyed the conversation, getting to know us and everything. And then I was like, we were so tired, obviously, when we checked in, because it was, after the long travel. And I said, hopefully we can see you tomorrow and we can talk more. So I went down the next day, and I knew when he was working, and I went up to him and I said, you got me thinking yesterday. And as you know, I work with this incredible wellness company, and it's kind of crazy not to invite you to learn more about this, because it could really be the solution to you working in Canada and really anywhere else that you want to go. And I would be so honored to share it with you. And so super direct, but also super thoughtful. And he was so excited that he wrote down his email. But he also was like, okay, well, what happens if you lose this email? If you lose this email, you could just call the hotel and ask them for it. They'll give it to you. But he was like making sure that we had his information. So then, of course, I hopped onto my computer right away, and I gave him the steps for us connecting once I got home. So that was just really direct, great interaction. It felt so good, and it was really natural. But again, I didn't make it weird or overthink it. It was like, well, he presented his need, and I just literally connected the dots, right? So then another example, this is now in Florence, and in Paris, he spoke English perfectly well. He was completely fluent. But in Florence, it was definitely their second language. And I was having my hair blow dried, which I do every week. One of my secrets to success. And gotta have good hair. And so I was talking to this hairdresser, and because I was interested in her, you know, I wasn't staring at my phone. I was just like learning about her, and I was asking questions and questions and questions, and, you know, just wanting to know about her life. And she shared with me that she's a single mom and that she would love to give her child the opportunity to travel. And, you know, she was so curious about, you know, what I was doing there. And I just kind of always just shifted the conversation back to her, which probably left her even more curious in what we do and what I do. And at the end of the conversation, I said, like, you know what, like, we're looking for ambitious young women in Florence who will help us to launch. I would love to share it with you. Would you be open to it? And she was like, oh my God, really? Like, yes, I would love to know more, right? So that's so simple. Again, I got her email address, and it was just like that genuine, easy invitation. Like, let it be simple. Forget everything you have, like, don't, maybe not forget it, but like maybe just kind of forget it for right now, and just like everything you learned from all the prospecting books and scripts and things like that. There might be a time and a place for that, but leave room for just genuine human interaction. And the invite can happen so beautifully, so effortlessly, and with so much impact, because my confidence is there, but the confidence is not this bold in your face confidence. It's this relaxed, sure of myself, confident what I'm bringing to the table, you know, relaxed. And I think that's really, like, act as if you are a diamond director, right? Not like you're like hustling in the beginning, just trying to get any single associate, right? Because you don't need any single associate. You need the right people. And I think it's like, I've said lean in a few times, but it's like kind of like lean in, but also lean back. I don't know if that makes any sense, right? But it's like leaning in when you are getting to really connect with them, but almost like lean back, like you don't need them. You're presenting with confidence, but it's not like desperate, right? So lean in and lean back. That's the new philosophy for inviting. Okay. So now when we're speaking about Instagram and Facebook, so with Facebook specifically, if you're inviting from your personal page, well, they're not your cold market. You have to know them, kind of. It can't be like a completely ice cold contact, I don't think, because you've had to accept their friend request. They, you know, there's some sort of exchange there. So we'll leave that aside for 1 second, and we'll talk more so about Instagram specifically, but this could also work for your Facebook business page as well. But these interactions, I feel like that they're more so on Instagram. Sorry, my voice is going at this time of night. Okay, I got some honey in my tea. All right, so for Instagram, you could literally turn a like into an invite, and this is how it's going to work. So if you want to know about how to build on Instagram, like, that's a totally other class. I actually have a social media masterclass you could check out. But the foundation is, if you have an appealing Instagram, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Forget about having like this perfect gallery, color coordinated, you know, thing. But if you're being consistent on Instagram and you're showcasing your lifestyle, and you're providing more value than just like asking and just posting products, you should be able to present your lifestyle in this gallery of photos, because it's like it's the first impression that you're going to make with people. It's a really important part of leveraging Instagram. So I don't want you stressed out about how many likes you're getting, how many followers you have, all those things. Yes, it's good to boost them, but there's so many people who are building on Instagram who are paying more attention to their followers than their actual CVP. If your CVP is not growing, then that's really where we want to focus, right? So we want to leverage social media to build our business, but not get lost in building social media, okay? So when you take the time to do a post, you always want to be thinking about who do I want to read this? Who do I want this to impact? Whose attention do I want this to grab, right? And speak directly to him or to her, the person that you are prospecting. So most of your posts will be lifestyle related, health related, maybe one out of every 10, one out of every 7 posts. It can be like an actual sell where you're calling them to buy something or calling them to register or enroll in something, right? But most of your posts should showcase your beautiful USANA lifestyle. So some posts will be more obvious than others, but every single one of them should really be speaking to either your future customer or your future business partner. So when you do a post and it's talking about the lifestyle, it's talking about freedom, it's talking about, your beautiful smoothie or your health or taking your supplements, whenever it's really directly related to USANA, it's kind of crazy not to follow up with any likes. So to give you an idea, so recently actually my very last post, I posted a video that my husband created of us in Paris. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do. He did such a great job with it. So just kind of some clips from us in Paris, and it's beautifully edited, but it's showcasing the USANA lifestyle. It's showing me speaking to our USANA family in Europe. You'll see the logo. You'll see you'll see USANA throughout the video. So every single person who has liked that video needs to get a private message from me. Number one, thanking them for liking or commenting, but even for a like, they're going to get a private message from me. Thank you so much for liking that video. I'm going to treasure it so much. Mike did such a great job with it. It's one of my favorites. And it's actually got me thinking, we're expanding right now. We're definitely in business building mode. I would love to share more about what I do and potentially how you could also create an additional stream of income working with us. Would you be open to it, right? So you can really be that direct, but there's nothing other than a positive experience that can happen from that interaction, because you have acknowledged that they liked your photo, your video. And I think that's really, really an important aspect of social media, because when someone's taking the time to like or to comment, they're literally taking their time to do that. Of course, we're assuming that it's not like an automated system. And of course, there's apps and, different, bots that are out there liking photos and things like that. But let's assume that it was genuinely someone scrolling and you slowed their scroll down enough to say, oh, I approve of this message. I like what Christa's posting. This is so cool, right? So they're literally knocking on your door. So it's time to say, thank you for the support, right? It's really going to go a long way. And you're giving them that straight up invitation. Only good things can happen from that. The response could be you're so welcome. I love watching your videos and thanks, but I'm good right now, but maybe one day. That could totally be a response. Or it could be absolutely nothing, but they just genuinely say okay, cool. She appreciates that. Or it could be, you're so welcome. I love your videos. And sure, I wouldn't mind knowing more, right? So do that. When you post, when you're taking the time to post, actually engage with people afterwards. It goes so far, especially in this age that we're in and this time that we're in, where people are just, okay, how many likes did I get? So you're doing a post and you're like, oh man, it only had 60 likes. 60 people approved of that message that was literally showcasing your USANA lifestyle. Now, if I were to go in a time machine and before Instagram and all that, and say okay, to a USANA, the old school USANA associates back in the day, I'm okay, so what would you do if, 60 people said they liked your post, they wouldn't know what a post was, but they liked this image of you living the USANA lifestyle. They're literally pre-qualified leads, right? Who follow you, who like you, who enjoy what you have to say. So do that for sure. Okay, so then with Instagram, so say you're on Instagram and you see someone who could be like an incredible addition to your team. Now, hopefully they're following you already, but a great way to get their attention, and I do this quite often, is I will go ahead and I'll like 5 of their posts in a row. Okay, so just like, it could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 6, but like a bunch of their posts right in a row, like. And then I'll look for an opportunity to comment. So it could be maybe they're somewhere that I want to travel or somewhere that I've traveled. It would be a really thoughtful comment, not a thumbs up emoji, right? Not just a like again, the social. If you like what someone has to say, if you like what they're posting, like leave a few words. So it could be like, oh my gosh, amazing. I've always wanted to go to Bali. And that is definitely on the vision board. What is your favorite place to stay there? So I can get more specific on my vision board. So you're asking you're asking a question. You are leaving a comment that is really inviting that engagement in, right? So when you like those 5 posts and you leave a comment, that account, if they're not already following you, they're like, oh, who is this Christa Realba? Again, bringing their eyeballs to your feed. And if you did a consistent job of really showcasing everything that you really believe and everything that you're for, and it's not a salesy, independent USANA distributor page, they're going to want to connect with you, right? If they could really see you, which is, again, a whole other workshop. So make sure that you are doing that. And then once they follow you, then I'm like, game on. So that I actually direct message them and I'll say, thank you so much for connecting. I'm loving following you for these reasons. I love this recipe that you posted. I'm loving watching your adventures, get specific, and then share, I'm expanding my team internationally and I'm actually looking for, and get specific on why them. And just don't get specific in terms of USANA, but get specific and say that you're expanding your international wellness team and you are looking for key ambassadors, key influencers. Definitely use that language, ambassador, influencer, especially on Instagram. That will really hit home with them, and they will get on a Zoom call with you. So if they're asking for more details, definitely say know what? The very first step is us connecting to make sure that it's a good fit. And, worst case scenario, we'll get to know each other. Are you open to a Zoom call, right? And then from there on the presentation, again, make it all about them. Make sure that you are taking the time to identify that need and how it can really work in their life before you ever get into any sort of presentation, okay? So yeah, do you guys have any questions? Nick, Viola, is there anything you want me to add to how to invite? Was that helpful? Okay, cool. I'm seeing the comments come in.
Hey, no, that was amazing. A really good overview of everything you had to share.
Great. Any questions from anyone who's on live? I'm not sure if you guys are accepting questions or not. You're all so welcome. And again, yeah, if you want to continue learning with me, this is an area that I'm very passionate about. I love teaching people of all ages, all backgrounds, how to keep the social and social media. We are not internet marketers. We are we are network marketers, which means it's about relationships, right? It's not about click funnels and things like that and some crazy way of getting people on board. I think it's just, beautiful connection and just leveraging these incredible tools that we have so that we can be totally limitless and abundant in the beautiful businesses that we're creating. You're so welcome. So I think that's a wrap for me, guys, if you want to move on to the next speaker. But I really appreciate being here with all of you. So grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing many of you at International Convention.
Thank you so much, Christa. I really like that take on modern inviting as well. And I think, like for myself as an example, that was such an awesome way to differentiate between people who you are making real connections with and the more attraction marketing side of things that Mike talked about in the first segment, which is what I'm really excited about too. So there's so many ways to still build your business in 2018, and so many ways still work just as effectively as they always have. Yet, obviously, they've changed a lot. So you've obviously innovated everything that you've done. You continue to innovate as things change. But I really love the keeping the social aspect of social media. That's really good. And I've just noticed like Facebook, Instagram DMs are now probably like my primary, like where I hang out and chat with a lot of people. So I really see the future in that.
Beautiful. Awesome.
So thank you so much for coming on. That
My
was
pleasure.
that was epic.
Let's grow.
Yes. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.